Welcome back, Rusty. Spawn gets to skip the 10 awkward charades impressions because Legacy never in doubt.
That was gross. That whole game. Like expectations coming into that were that Legacy would always win, but that just felt too clean, right? Like
Yeah.
we're in week 2 of the OPL. You can at least be a little bit messy, you know? But they were just too clean.
Not even that. We're in the OPL. Just give them a fight at some stage, right? Like, give them an opportunity for a 5v5, but it just never presented itself because, you know, they're always there first. They're always in superior numbers. The map state is always, like, such that they don't have to fight, so they get to pick every one of their battles. And Gravitas, unfortunately, just in a couple of really key areas, like falling down in that game. Especially, like, you know, I'll say it again. I think that top lane should not be that rough, and that I think Kwaku really kind of let the rest of the map down with how badly he got beaten by Topoon up there.
Yeah, Kwaku is definitely someone that we have to keep looking at. Like, again, when you look at his split 1 improvements, the difference between now and then is starting to be night and day. And for what it's worth as well, I know there was bad matchups for Beats down in support in some of his last games, but he had the 0-7 this time. And it's one of those role swaps that you're looking at and saying, what will it take to say that this has worked? Because we're only seeing lost lanes at the moment.
Yep.
It's also a game you look at, you're just like, put them out of their misery. Let it end it. For God's sakes, they have families. They're probably watching. So well done, Legacy. You continue to do Legacy things, and it's exciting to watch you steamroll your way to another victory this split. Someone else who's a steamroll, Neosurf. Smooth, elegant, what a transition. Neosurf are giving you guys the chance to steamroll your way into the OPL opening video. All you need to do is take a video of yourself joining our conference call opening titles. Follow OPL and Neosurf Esports on Twitter and then share the video using the hashtag NeosurfWin. The winner gets themselves 500 Australian dollars. I shouldn't say that. I don't know if it's Australian dollars. I assume it's Australian dollars. 500 Neosurf bucks to use for whatever they want in the League of Legends store. You got until week 3 of the OPL to get your entries in. Full terms and conditions are on watch.lolesports.com, and while the first prize is a $500-something Neosurf voucher, we'll also be awarding 5 runners-up with $100-something vouchers for use in the League of Legends store. Big thanks to our partner Neosurf, where your privacy is protected with no need to provide a credit card or personal information or even the currency with which you're trying to use. So massive thank you to Neosurf. We look forward to seeing you guys in our opening titles. We look forward to getting bumped from our opening titles, which really is the nail in the career coffin, I feel like, gentlemen. And on that happy note, it's time to move on.
Any worse.
I know, you say the same thing about joining the opening title so many times. At some point, it begins to realize, is this how they're just auditioning for an entirely new cast? Is this the first step? Spawn, you've already asked for people to send in analysis videos that you can argue with them. That feels like you're just looking for a commentator. There's mischief afoot, gentlemen, and I won't be having it. What I will be having is our next seg. That, of course, is 5-stack. There are a whole ton of League of Legends champions. We only need to pick 5 of them, though, for the 5-stack. This week's 5-stack has a theme. Because why have we already lost Spawn? What did you do?
That's fine, don't worry.
I feel like you've read something. If it's funny enough for you, Jake, you can share with the rest of the class.
That was just how you said there are a ton of League of Legends champions, but we only need 5 of them. It was like, there are... Holy shit, I actually don't know how many League of Legends champions there are anymore.
Yeah. There you go.
Is there 148 at the moment?
With the release of Set, there's 148. Yep.
There we go.
Because
I had no idea. That's why I was laughing.
I would classify that as a ton. What is a ton in terms of a large collection of people? 148 or more, according to Google. So there you go. Okay, so this week's 5-stack theme is around the fact that most of the Twitch streams that you know and love have just been DCMA'd into oblivion thanks to the new music rules. So we needed to put together a 5-stack of champs you would most want to create music for you now that your Twitch stream has been DCMA'd into oblivion. We were each given a genre of music with which to create our 5-stack, and then we had to pick 5 league champs who would fit the bill of that kind of band. Would one of you like to go first? Would you like me to go first? Or how do we want to run this?
I would like to not go first.
I'll go, but you need to explain the genre to the viewers.
So Rusty, I gave you drone folk music, which is drone music, which features long, sustained tones and notes composed with traditional folk instruments. Think banjos, bagpipes, and hurdy-gurdies.
Yeah, so it's
A
complicated.
hurdy-gurdy is not a real word.
I actually googled it. It's a real thing.
Is hurdy-gurdy a real word?
Hurdy-gurdy.
So I looked up what this genre of music sounds like. And
Please.
The best thing that I could explain it as a comparison is like Mongolian throat singing if it was an instrument or like a style of music.
Good.
So my first one was Hillbilly
Which
Graggus.
doesn't help at all.
No,
by
it
the way. Yeah, everything you just said, useless.
It didn't help. So I struggled with champions. I got one good one. And that's Hillbilly Graggus. Because Graggus has a hillbilly skin. I think it fits
Ooh.
perfectly into folk music.
That's good. You even went deep skin variant. I like it.
It's the only one that was close.
Yeah.
That took a lot of research, Nick. The other one that I put, and this is just for the feasibility of playing these weird instruments and noises, was Elise, because she just has so many legs, it would save me the trouble of extra band members.
Excellent.
So that was one of my cop-outs. I chose Olaf as well because it sounded kind of Nordic when I was first listening to it.
It's a
I was
hipster
like,
name.
He's a rocker. What was that?
It's a hipster name as well. Olaf. Olaf
Yeah.
definitely plays
Yeah.
the hurdy-gurdy.
The one that I'm not sure on in my 5 was Sona. Because I believe it's a string instrument that she plays, so she would just fit in fine.
Yeah, it's like a
That was my
harpsichord or
thought.
something.
I think
What
it's a string.
instrument does Sona play?
At this point, Google should be paying us for the free advertising.
Sona trivia. Her instrument, pronounced French as E dash over the top of it, toil.
Toil.
A toil. Or
That
toil.
helps.
Don't why are you asking me? I'm the least musical person in the world.
It's true.
People have heard me sing a lot, including the poor people that had to watch the rehearsal of Riff Rivals. God rest its soul. And I am not a good musician.
Well, I came to realize after I picked Sona Nick that I was choosing the band Pentakill from League. So I because they're the only ones that I could attribute to music.
Good. So that's your 5-stack?
Yeah, Mordekaiser was the last one, and then I was like, nah, this can't. Like, I'm just doing Pentakill now.
So what is it? It's Olaf Sona, Hillbilly
Elise
Graggus.
and Hillbilly
Hillbilly
Graggus.
Elise. So it's a 4-stack.
It's a 4-stack.
I wrote Mordekaiser as a 5th option, and then I was
Okay,
like, I
right.
don't
And then
know
you
if I
went.
want that.
Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'll take
Okay.
it. That's a good mix. All right. Spawn, your genre was black gaze, which is a nightmarish version of dream pop, shoves the abrasive, estranged sounds of black metal into a whimsical shoegaze soundscape. Didn't look up what shoegaze meant. Think Alice in Wonderland, but darker.
Yeah, cool. So I was thinking Alice in Wonderland when I made this, right? And obviously when I say made this, I mean completely improvised it on the spot because this is another segment that I want to speak to the producers about. But what I was thinking is like you kind of need like that deep background noise to this music. So the first person I'm going with is Maokai. So he can give me that real NT like hum in the background, right?
Good.
It's just like the bassy undertones. Then over the
one.
top of that, just weaving in the sensual lyrics. Are you laughing, Nick?
I'm laughing at the fact that you like rag the segment and then put the most thought into even the composition of the music. You're a professional. That's all I'm laughing at.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When I get paid to do something, I do it correctly. So I went with Evelyn as the champion. That I would be weaving this whimsical kind of darker version of the music in, right? Then obviously, so we've got our melody down pat. We got our backup singer Maokai. We got our main singer in Evelyn. Then I would go with Sona as well. Because you kind of need some haunting elements to this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because I actually... there's people speaking at the same time. I cannot work this kind of scenario.
He's a professional, Dick.
I'll tell you what, he gets so salty when the top of his head is all cold. I prefer warm-headed Spawn, who is a nice person to hang out with.
What have I got so far? I've got Maokai, Evelyn, Sona. I would say, give me a little bit of Vega or Ziggs in there. It's just some high pitchiness or a Shaco voice or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone's just left the channel as well. That's great. And I'm scrolling through. For those that don't know what I'm doing right now, I'm currently scrolling up and down throughout the League of Legends. Oh, I said Pyke. Because Pyke's haunty. I want Pyke's background noise. I don't actually want Pyke. When Pyke hits W, I want that in there as a noise as well. That's what I'm going with.
That's good. You managed to strike a weird combination of taking this very seriously, being professional, but also seeming to be completely unprepared and just angry at the fact that you're on a broadcast. Well done. That's your 5-stack. My 5-stack, I was given boy band as the topic, as the genre. So I picked the baby-faced one would be Teemo. He's the sort of cute one. That's your entry into realizing, hey, you know what? Maybe I could start being attracted to celebrities. The bad boy is Varus. It's pretty self-explanatory. The ridiculously good-looking one is Rakan, because he's always strutting around with those perfect eyebrows. The one you take home to meet your parents is Garen. So Garen is the one in the boy band who you go, oh yeah, he's the aspirational one. He seems to be from royalty.
He has it together.
He has it together. And then the one who left before the band got big is a Mumu, who's just very upset about it and just cries because of all the royalties that he's going to miss out on. And then Tom Kench is their manager because he definitely wears a hat like a man who embezzles. So that's the 5-stack boy band for League of Legends. There you go. TSM fan said this is a horrible boy band. Well, of course it is. That's why this boy band doesn't exist. But I was forced to make it, so I had to come up with someone. All right, I got all the key components there. Most important is the creepy manager. I've known some creepy managers in my time. All right, it's time to move on to two teams who don't have creepy managers. It's Direwolves versus Mammoth. And it is game 3.
Segue of the year.
It is game 3 of the evening. Direwolves yet to pick up a win, as Spawn pointed out. Mammoth, pretty much in the same boat there. So is this Mammoth's time to shine in this scenario? Because Direwolves, while on top of the hill at the end of last split, it has been a pretty hard fall down. So they're looking to climb their way back up. The task ahead of them is Mammoth. It is game 3, and it is coming at you with the Macca's Jam Select.
So, Mammoth, trash.
They want to make everything happen right now. The clean ace.
What do you think of versing Bass?
I don't know who is he. Well, I haven't seen too much from our tech. It's I'm not expecting too much.
Alright, so up against Mammoth, I think I'm versing Liv. He's actually improved a lot recently. I think he's probably the best player on their team. I still think he plays like he's a mid laner. He just dies every game, so I'm not really worried at all.
Versus Mammoth, what do you think of Mbomber?
Oh, Betty, is you in?
Welcome back to game number 3. And a big one at that, you just saw some fantastic content. I feel like the content is leveling up so much more, Rusty, as we work here from home. With some fighting words there from the Direwolves as they come into this one. Both teams got off to a bit of a rough start in week 1. Both went 0-2. And they will be looking for that redemption arc to get there. Well, second split really off to a flying start to turn things around. You know, we saw from split 1 that Direwolves were obviously the team that went to the grand finals to take on Legacy. So this should be, once again, a very similar story of the outclassing between the two. But Mammoth have shown signs of life with a few changes around the place. Obviously, as I said in that video there, with Liv moving from the mid lane up to the top side, and that's allowed RMIT's Chungy to come in from the OCS team and move in here as their new mid laner.
Yeah, and he had a pretty shaky week 1, I think it's fair to say. Skimmy, it wasn't the ideal start. If you think back to that first game they played, however, there was just absolute chaos against them. You know, these level 4 fights, it was AV they were playing against, almost, you know, just cleaned the floor with them and started to snowball through. So we didn't really get to see the full, you know, sampling of what is available there for Mammoth. Hoping to see a more stable start to them in their future games to really see what they're able to provide and put on the table for the side of Direwolves. They just need to bring it back, man. Like, you don't want to get into the OPL finals of split 1, have a short break, and then go 0-2 in your first week. That's not ideal. That is so far from ideal. And if you even look at who they were playing as well in that first week, it wasn't exactly just the hardest opponents. There was a Legacy rematch. So yes, Legacy are in massive form, and they were going to lose that one. And then they played against AV. And AV might be in form, but you still expect Direwolves to be able to take them down. So this one is a must-win for Mammoth, if you consider that.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And, you know, what I was expecting to see coming into this one was that there's a very high priority from both teams, really, on not only the Ezreal, but the Yumin. And we're going to see those 2 picks taken away here today. Not going to see those showcasing any power. And another pick is the Yasuo, denied away from Chunga. We saw how strong he was on that Kaiser. He busted out in his first game here and definitely put in a solid performance. But the step up from the OCS into the OPL has definitely greeted him with a bit of a wake-up call, if you will, and that's going to only get really worse, I want to say, in this matchup here, given the amount of experience that Shock has and the character he's playing in Zoe.
Direwolves have definitely changed it up here already. They were playing 2 Yuumi games in a row. That was banned away from them. The Nautilus is what I was expecting and wanting to see from them more, but they've gone for the Leona. So they have said, you know, our support, we'll be playing a tank, we'll be playing an engaged champion, and even if Mammoth bans some away, we have so many options that it does not matter. You look at the other side here though, Skimmy, you've got your Aphelios, so naturally you've got your scaling there, you've got the Karma and the Nidalee, so the shield and heal duo that can work with that carry, but now they've also put the Wukong with it, so it's more of a 2-horse race, and because that Karma is very clearly with the Thresh-Lock and going into a solo lane, they have got some available magic damage in that comp. So I would say it's still majorly a 2-horse race and very dependent on that Wukong and Aphelios getting ahead or getting to the point where they will be strong.
And that's definitely why I want to turn my attention, because the first 2 games that they played, Liv was on the Ornn and the Set, which were banned away. The Wukong we saw in the jungle today, but it's going to be back in that top lane, and it has so much mobility, so much sustain to allow it to have the ability to get into that back line, find that pick target, and lock them up in that CC. But Chippy's
they're not messing around.
He showed it a lot, right? He's rocking and rolling with this Malphite. Given the opportunity, he's just looking to lay down the law.
That's it. Like, neither of these teams have really messed it around, but Direwolves are the ones who have really put the foot down, and they've said, we're not losing this game. We're picking what works for us, what we know, and what we're capable of playing. I would say a couple of the slight shifts in there is that, one, we're seeing Decoy, of course, back, and he's playing those tanks, so he's someone that I'm going to be watching closely. And then Shock playing the Zoe. You know, Shock, very capable player, very high-ranked solo queue player as well. No doubt can play it, but it's not often seen from him in a competitive game. He's much more of the Azir or Corki type of player, even with a higher preference for the Corki over the Azir. But this time, with a lot of confidence, we'll lock in the Zoe.
I'm glad to see this more aggressive lane matchup come out here for the Direwolves. I mean, you think back to when Vital's introduced on this roster, he played so much Misfortune. He was so keen for damage, he would forget to buy boots. I mean, how many games did we cast of that, right? And we're saying, where are your boots, man? You're relying so much on this passive. But this is a guy that has such an aggressive play style, and the Leona, the Zoe, the Malphite are going to facilitate this so much. So he may go back to a time of old, really, for this Korean young prodigy. He, in those first 2 games, played the Ezreal, played the Aphelios, but always coupled with the Yuumi. So you are very much banking on his own individual play, but I expect a high-tempo game. I'm expecting a lot of team fights here. You know, the ability to hard force and with all this engaged potential that Mammoth had, just to get in your face and overwhelm you with pressure. But on the flip side of that, Direwolves will say, we found a target, you're going to get locked in place, you are going to die. That's what we're going to find out here in game number 3 as Mammoth take on the Direwolves. And we should have a bit of a punch on here.
I do think there will be quite a bit of biffing, and that's the thing. You speak towards Vital, but you have to look at who he's playing with and the differences there, right? You can be aggressive and have a Yuumi, but it's not going to be as effective as being aggressive with the Leona, or if you think back to last split, having Cupcake on the Bard. You know, that guaranteed long-range engage to set up that aggression that you want to actually have take place. So you see that come from the Direwolves, you feel much more confident about their capabilities in a game like this. You see the Malphite from Chippies, and you say, okay, man wants to win. That was... During the playoffs, he wouldn't play it unless they were losing.
Yeah.
He
And
would
remember,
bring the
there was
Malphite
that
out and
one
clutch.
game, right, where he literally tried to win the game on his own. He fully ran all the way down bot side to get a kill, came back to top side. It was a true sight to behold.
Yeah, unbelievable. The fact that he was able to do that without his ability to play Ornn in consideration as well, but now he also has the Ornn and still chooses the Malphite, which means he is going to have that in his back pocket at all times. And he's also, I think, the only Malphite player that we've really seen.
Yeah, I think you're actually right there. And we've seen how often it finds a lot of value with the utility the Unstoppable Force provides, you know, to punish anybody being a little bit too big for the boots, a bit aggressive underneath the tower, clips that turret aggro, and instantly you are locked in place. But another person I want to be keeping my eyes on is Miru. You know, we've had some standout performances from him, but sometimes he can be a little bit vacant as well. But from what we saw last week, he's definitely found his stride. He's looking to try and pick things up where they left off once again. And we like it when he plays his aggressive, I shouldn't say support, aggressive junglers, the likes of Jarvans, you know, your Lee Sins, Graves, anything that can sort of go in there and facilitate this overall theme of the Direwolves.
Yeah, a lot of Mir feels like if the early game goes in his favor, the rest of the game is a lot easier for him to play. But, you know, if it goes poorly in the early game, the opposite is still very true. It's very difficult for them to continue to play the game. So that snowball-y feeling is something that rings true. We're looking at this bottom lane. No, we're back to top lane. But one thing that I wanted to highlight with that bot lane matchup is that Thresh has been considered for quite a while, Skimmy, a soft counter to the Leona.
Yeah.
And it was a late pick here from Mammoth in response to it. The reason that it is a soft counter is because from levels 1 to 5, if you're positioned correctly, you can always play that Leona out of her E, and they'll never be able to follow it with the Q stun, which is the double stun combo that locks down players for the AD carry to maximize their damage. So as long as Artek is positioned properly, they'll never be able to get the stuns off like you just saw.
That's what we'll be looking forward to, as the Sunlight passive that you highlight there adds so much extra oomph, which a Misfortune absolutely loves to see, coupled with her own passive. You're looking at massive chunks that can come their way, as Mammoth are backed up underneath their tower right now. Going to be looking to try and be as unscathed as possible going into level 6, where things go from bad to worse really with that all-in capability.
And it'll stay pretty slow down here for a little while. There is some kill threat, but like mentioned, it's based kind of on mistakes. You can see that Mammoth are now going to try and hold this wave here as well. And not the easiest freeze to break. Mir is nearby, however, so they continue to play more aggressively. They're looking for Bass first and foremost. And he did just get himself a base off. So things will just continue to play fairly slowly. Looking at the top side of the map as well, Skimmy, that was a nice aggressive early start there from Liv to try and generate some CS leads. But the way that Malphite plays into the Wukong, it's pretty easy to play that matchup if you were Chippies. Until a certain point, of course, where the Wukong is hard to hit and get those press the attack procs off. You'll still have armor by that point, right? So just being a Malphite is a little bit of a breeze.
You're having a lot of fun just passively being active on the map, as you say. And the variation between those builds of, you know, you got your tanky boy or you got your arcane comet. No, he wants to go press the attack. He literally wants to delete, and you can see what it means for those health bars right now, as Lived is already down to half. Very reliant now on his inspiration tree for those biscuit procs to keep himself up, but I'd imagine he wants to try and hold on for those as long as possible and best utilize them in the middle of a trade, as he still has teleport available. With this wave, I believe, just frozen outside of his tower.
One thing that is a difference here is the choice of minion dematerializer by Shock in mid lane. It's something that I'm personally a very big fan of. Being able to use the dematerializer on cannon waves is actually really big for having the tempo resets. If you want to force a wave in, Zoe's biggest weakness, of course, is going to be able to take a cannons or not.
Yeah.
It also means that, like you just saw, if you have a stack available and a fight breaks out with your mid lane opponent, you can instantly use the dematerializer to get that spell thief. And if you have that, maybe it's a very useful combat thing that you just find on the ground that you've tactically chosen to get, right? That's actually potentially fight-changing.
But such a small decision like that could actually mean so much in the sense of, yes, Kame is going to have a fantastic chances to push out these waves and then be free to rotate elsewhere to assist. That might thwart her plans just a little bit there and make it show that if she does decide to go fishing for picks elsewhere, that she is actually going to get punished in the mid lane matchup. As you can see, these solo lane is now very close to level 6. It'll be up to Liv to sort of showcase how he decides to want to utilize that.
It also means that Shock, like Zoe, is probably the most threatening when she's not in lane. When she's near terrain where she can throw the bubble through, right? And that's like, if you have push in mid lane with the proto belt she has right now, could force it if there was an occasion or a need for it. But you disappear into Fog of War, and suddenly you're infinitely more threatening if you are that Zoe. And being able to play towards that with the, you know, the dematerializer giving you bonus damage on the minions that you use it on as well, can help a whole lot.
Yeah, the 18% buff once fully stacked up is absolutely beautiful. Can really work wonders for patching one of those weaknesses that you highlight. And the questions of, well, am I using my pedal stars to harass, or am I using it to wave clear to match what this Kame brings to the table? Is Chungy now responds and returns to this lane using that teleport and a completed chalice. That's going to do so much to try and negate the burst that comes out here from the Zoe.
That was almost S+ grade there from Liv with his last hitting under the turret. It was one off. I was so invested in that journey, man. Either way, he misses one. He's still going to have a CS lead over Chippies. Really slow objective game at the moment. There's just a lot of farming. No one getting a... I don't want to say there's a strict advantage between junglers either at this point. Nidalee and Graves both farming about equally. Nidalee, one of those champions that will want the full item first. No idea how that bubble went through Chungy, but it doesn't matter. Once Nidalee gets to complete a jungle item, she rapidly accelerates and can just focus on the clearing. But right now, it's just about getting those first clears done to get the experience up on the camps. Graves could be a little bit more active, you would say, especially with the lanes you have now hitting 6. Malphite in top lane in particular is one of them. And a Leona in the bottom lane as well. Once she hits 6, that soft counter that we discussed is a lot harder to do. Because you can't play it ultimate.
Yeah, the Zenith Blade in is no longer the desirable situation, if you will. You've got CC stun after stun that just lands, and is complemented by these trouble bubbles that you can see going through in the mid lane. You start to wonder where the game plan goes from. Is it going to be a case of them all hitting level 6 first, or is it going to be a case of them hitting some major item spikes before they decide to pull the plug?
Could be either. One of the key features of competitive games, of course, is the timing on those item spikes. I want to see a Drake just move towards a little bit. You can see that it's already being considered by Mir and the side of Direwolves. Having that bot lane control now that they have crested over to the level 6 mark is going to prove very valuable. You also see Chippies disappears off the map just in case. He's going to get that recall off. Maybe start to pick up some armor for himself if that recall is completed. Working towards the Sunfire, of course. He's also going to detour. Make it even harder for the Wukong. That is such a very Wukong-specific purchase right now. It'll have value, of course, later once the Aphelios is in the mix, but he's all about controlling that laning phase and clearing those waves.
Definitely after his fighting words from week 1, and going into such a strong player like Chippy's there in the 1v1 top side. He wants to make sure that he becomes a source of strength rather than a burden for his team. He wants to make sure that this Wukong is so strong that what they facilitated themselves with this draft is actually able to come online and work wonders, showcase what it can do. But it is a very even game as the first dragon goes across. The gold is dead even across the board. Just waiting for that first moment of real jungle influence, it seems. It's almost a case of the ping-pong being the most prevalent strategy right now. Perhaps there are some 1v1s of can I beat my individual opponent, but also waiting for that jungler to showcase where they want to go. But as it stands, tempo is all about clearing.
Yeah, and look at the way that Mammoth have stationed themselves as well, right? Their bottom lane has responded to the map flip, but the Wukong is already bottom lane while Chippies is not. He's also the Malphite of the team, and there's no teleport for Liv. So overall, Direwolves, they have complete control objectively in this game. They took the first Drake. There was no contest from their opponents. The Herald is the expected trade that wasn't touched at all, and now you're seeing some aggression from Bassies in the area. But Chippies has that teleport advantage. He also just flash ulted at someone. I think Chungy's just barely lucky to be alive. That was off screen.
Flash is burned by both the mid laner and the top side as well as the Herald goes across. Now, the case is, can they collect it? Vital on the opposite side of this fight can get a full bullet time channel off, unless Mboma cancels that one out quite early, but Mammoth definitely lost this one there. Health bars are fluctuating, they are definitely low, and they need to get out of harm's way. This time Chunky has no flash, and he's going to fall on down for the first blood going the way of Zoe. And he may look to try and find more. So many members are low. Shock going to use that passive and flash around. They're going to settle for just the one.
Yeah, I think Shock just used every single flash in the game for himself that was used on the map. You'll see the Direwolves, they will be able to secure the Herald. Did they get the buff? Yes. It goes into the hands of Vital. They also win the fight straight afterwards, so the choice was theirs if they wanted to place it now and pressure for the plates, or if they wanted to get that reset off, get the items, and then use it afterwards. But at the end of the day, there was nothing doing from Mammoth in the end. There was a moment where you're thinking, okay, they can contest it. Malphite's just used his flash ultimate on Chungy, and he's out of the fight effectively, this Malphite. So it's more of an even battlefield, but they still just cannot get the follow-up damage enough to get the kills. Graves so tanky that the Wukong can't do it by himself this early.
Vital continues to be fed resources. As you can see, he was the one starting off things with their Mammoth bot flip to respond to him, and you can see that Bass was hunting for a kill, and as he hops on across, spots out that the Herald has been started, but the fact that he's the one to pick up that objective, more gold going his way, allowed this Misfortune to rise in power and try supersede the BF sword strength that Nephilios is looking to itemize towards as well.
Yeah, you know, one of the interesting facts, I guess, about the Herald being in the hands of Vital is that it's not going to be shared with the jungler. It is, the gold goes to whoever summons it, right? So it could just be pure gold towards him, as this might hurt.
This could definitely hurt right now. Miru has his ultimate, I believe, just under 5 seconds, so it's just there to make the lane state easier there for Shock. He'll gladly take it as the lanes flip back to where they once were. Was he now get a glimpse as a target? Okay, so still very, very healthy. A couple minutes left in this Herald. You'd imagine a collapse will take place given Miru's in the area. They may just look to try and destroy this.
If Shock goes missing, it's definitely the possibility of a 4-man down here in the bottom lane. Of course, he is sitting in Fog of War, now about to show himself in mid. They get as many plates as they can first before summoning Herald. Of course, that is the way that you want to play it, to ensure, of course, the maximum damage going onto the structure itself. Still very slow, though. And again, if we take stock of what's happened so far, it's a lot of just slow nothing from the side of Mammoth. Really just being responsive to their opponents and not, like, it's 0-1 in kills. They haven't done anything so far. It's just a lot of farming.
Yeah, it's been a very quiet game, very much like how the Direwolves Legacy game started off our split, with both teams showing a ton of respect and just looking to get items online as the main priority. But now we might start to see something being threatened here as the bot duo of Mammoth are still sat there in that bottom side. A full 5-man collapse come through mid. They're going to summon it perfectly, and that will destroy the mid-tier 1.
Charge does get off. Not going to be able to do any damage to it, of course, so well done there from the Direwolves to force Mammoth back. Now you can see that Artek and Mboma very out of position.
They're in a lot of trouble right now. They want to leave the Unstoppable Force to make it easy for Decoy to follow things up. There goes the Solar Flare, and there goes the health bar as well. Miru going to pick that one up. Assists across the board. The second kill here for the Direwolves.
The worst part about that trade is the Chippies didn't ult. Nice little dash from Mir. That could have actually been very costly. There's still 2 wards behind the Direwolves as well that they haven't cleared. They're going to reset, though. That should be very much known by Mammoth if they aren't going to continue to push the tower. What they don't know is that Decoy has maybe fallen under the radar here. For just a moment there, but he'll walk back through it, no problem.
There's potential for them to show themselves in lane and maybe give them a blanket of security given the fact that Shock revealed himself topside there with the teleport, but Mammoth don't fall victim to any lane state ganks and will turn their attention towards this dragon as well to get the soul well underway. We are playing for a Mountain Soul, the absolute dream here for Chippies.
Yeah, I've no doubt that the Malphite will be happy with a few Mountain Drakes, let alone the Soul. There's also, for what it's worth, Graves being one of the tankiest carry champions in League of Legends will undoubtedly be happy with the opportunity for more, like he needs it. Nevertheless, that'll be something that'll be quite wanted by the Direwolves. Choosing not to commit to the second Drake of the game, really, as well. You know, they put the tempo play of the Herald in mid lane. They walk bottom and look for something as well. And yes, they get the kill. But the trade was for the Drake, right? So they're not putting the highest priority on that objective itself. So maybe they are saying, Cloud, not that valuable. Even though I would say, of course, as a Malphite from the owner, it could be.
Yeah.
All their priorities were just to get gold as fast as possible, right? Like it's ballooned up. The gold
I'm
difference
glad you
is
touched
huge.
on that. The gold is, as you say, as a whole, it's insanely huge, but between the actual individual laners, you're talking a 2k discrepancy in the mid wave, you're talking a k between the junglers, and around about 700 between the top laners. So the equalization, if you will, is this bottom side, but everywhere else, top side, from mid to Chippies itself, is definitely favouring the Direwolf. So they're favouring the farming as opposed to any 5v5 biff.
The game may even stay at this pace for a little while as well. When you're looking objectively at what's available, mid lane turret's already broken. Mammoth's access to the map is now about fighting for vision control first, and that's hard for them to do if the Malphite's ever missing on the map. But he's grouped mid right now, so that's something that'll be playing onto the minds of Mammoth. We'll see how they choose to play this one out, because you would hope that they'll be able to situate their Wukong into a side lane if they can. Constantly try and threaten or bring someone towards that Wukong and then look towards the rest of the map as a result. They just need to force numbers from Direwolves to be somewhere on the map.
Well, they have forced Chippies down bottom side, but the fact is both of them actually have their teleport. Now they're walking themselves up. It appears a bit of a conflict as to what the shot call really was. The Direwolves are quite happy in picking themselves up the second Herald, trading that for the Dragon. More turret sieging, more structural advantages as they lead the line 2-0 right now. A bit of confusion, I think, really, from Bass, most notably, as to are we collapsing or am I contesting?
I think if you look at what Bass was doing right there, he's fallen into the trap of, you know, where is the enemy top laner? You'd expect that he's hiding under his turret safely. He's actually farming. You know, a lot of top laners, when they're weak-sided, will do this. They'll take the Krug camp, the Gromp, whatever it may be on their side of the map that is safer than sitting on a wave. So that's where Chippies goes. He looks for the camp itself, and then Bass wastes all of this time from mid lane, from the top side of mid lane, to the bot lane Gromp to find it basically gone to the Malphite who's there, and then leaves again. So losing a lot of tempo around the map by just not knowing where their opponents are.
5k gold separates these two teams at the moment, but both the AD carries have got themselves well and truly online now with their first major purchases. It's the Aphelios with the Infinity Edge and the Misfortune with the Essence Reaver. Going to work absolute wonders when it comes to these team fights as more items now start to follow in quick pursuit. You've got the second here for Shock. Full utility, Luden's coupled now with the Protobelt, as if there's only more mobility anyway. But then to couple with that, the Vision Denial, the Umbral Glaive now coming online here for Miru's on his Graves.
Yeah, starting to hit those big spikes. That one in particular with the Umbral Glaive is massive for just retaining vision control around objectives. Less resets are needed, and it's faster. For a Graves, the biggest nightmare you ever have on Summoner's Rift is clearing wards, but now it's just made easy. One auto attack clears a whole ward, and 2 auto attacks, which is what you've got here in your ammunition. Gets rid of control wards. Lived, it just gets rid of his entire health bar.
Look how much damage that's actually doing to him right now. He has no magic resistance, and he feels the pain. Well, you talk about magic resistance. He needs armor resistance as well, apparently. Collateral damage just comes in absolutely clutch there. Nowhere to run or hide. The AoE cone explosion, putting in overtime.
Yeah, they also... Oh, here we go again.
Well, they're looking for more, and they're going to chase down Changi, who, once again, doesn't have any of these summoners. Welcome to the OPLs with the Direwolves the same time right now, so they look to try and find a second. They may just be content with the damage that is done just here. Now opens himself up with more map control. Don't forget that all this time Miru still has that Herald, and he wants to extrapolate as much value with it when it is deployed.
Well, this may be a week late, but we're seeing angry Direwolves. Give it a go at again.
They're just forcing after force. Both go golden, both pop their stopwatches. Looks good, it buys time, and this is Liv's time to shine. As he jumps in there with the Wukong, gets put to sleep, and then put to sleep a second time, swimming with the fish now as Chippies jumps in and locks him up in place. Now their mana bars are rather low, so the harassment that can come out from this Zoe is non-existent. The disengage attempt is there, but the damage here, Rusty, well and truly done.
Yeah, the man's shining bright like some coal at the moment. Unfortunately, not having the best game for himself, but there's not a whole lot that he'll be able to do. He dies, he teleports in, he ults, he dies. And now he is a 0-2 Wukong. Direwolves, once again, they put a lot of emphasis and effort into killing their opponents. Will they be able to contest the Drake? I think the answer is still yes this time. And remember that they have the Rift Herald still available in his pockets if they find an opportunity to use that as well. They are in absolute control, and perhaps a little bit of an overreach there, and it still doesn't get punished nearly enough.
Ball gets rolling here with the first of many Mountain Dragons to no doubt follow. And as you highlighted before, 3 key benefactors of this between this man on your screen right now, the Malphite, as well as the Leona. And you talk about the ability for them to hard force fights, the amount of CC they have underneath their wraps. Well, they can unleash their full kit and take no damage in the process of doing it. Well, you look at Shock and Vital being so incredibly protected.
It's so scary when a Zoe's ahead. Zoe, you know, you get that Luden's Echo and you're powerful, but if you're actually ahead and you're farmed and you have the 2 items, that means you're actually ahead of a lot of the laners with their health values. You're in one-hit territory, and I think we're getting very close to that if you're Shock. Of course, he has got the Unsealed Spellbook and is currently cycling through Exhaust, so it's not going to be the maximum damage that he could possibly put down. I also think, you know, once he completes that next half item, whether it's the Oblivion Orb or he's going towards the Leandra's Torment, will be soon to see. But from that point, you'd expect, of course, the Oblivion Orb, his damage will be just nuts, and he'll actually be one-hitting all of the carries with no resistance.
Yeah, pure damage, essentially, at that point, as you highlight. And Artek on this fresh, going to have his work cut out for him with his Crucible to try and find a pick target that he wants to cleanse and get out of harm's way voluntarily before these core items come online, and QSS can become a real possibility. So keep your eye on this fresh, how he looks to try and play around this one. It might be quite hard, even if he is the one that gets CC'd from Defiant Valley with that one, as the Siege Assault, the strength that Direwolves have accrued for this first 20 minutes is really starting to come online here.
And let's be real, it's a good pick. I respect that Artek has gone towards the Crucible to be able to get people out of Leona engages, Zoe bubbles, etc., but the Malphite exists. And you cannot get someone out of that knockup, including yourself, and it's AoE. So once they start to play the objective game, Direwolves, and they really run Mammoth out of options, someone's got to face check Skibby, because someone's got to die.
It's a high risk, high reward in the sense of, well, what kind of version of Fresh am I playing? Am I playing to look for hooks, for picks, for abilities to get ourselves back into this game? Or do I need to play so defensive that I can actually use my Lent in my hook play, for Peel to complement his Crucible? So I'm going to be quite curious to see how he looks to try and utilize this one. So much strength on the side of Direwolves right now. Anywhere they go, Mammoth retreats. And they are now looking to feign the Baron controls. They assert complete dominance of all the vision control around this part of the map.
Yeah, we're not really seeing Direwolves commit to the Baron at all. We're just seeing them edge forwards and get more vision further and further and deeper into Mammoth's territory. At a certain point, they'll have no choice but to look at the Baron. They're not exactly, I wouldn't say they're the fastest Baron to ever exist, but they do still have 280 carries, and Zoe has decently consistent damage output, so they can get it done. And that's something that Mammoth will have to have considered at this point. Is can we actually afford to not have vision around the Baron? Like, do we have to actually int to get control around the Baron? And I think that so far so good. Because the bluff has been matched. They're not face checking yet.
And this will be a chance, given that Direwolves have gone for the reset and the item purchase, that Mammoth can now try and lay down some vision once again. It was lit up like a Christmas tree, but all things Direwolves just moments before. And this will help in their ability to try and find targets for them to lock in place. And you're talking about who is going to be that face-checking target. Well, you'd hope it would be Liv to lead the line there, use his clone to some great effect, but there's just so much pain and punishment that goes his way if he's not correct with those split-second decision-making.
So they're going to do it as 3. I mean, they're doing it, again, relatively quickly. There is decent damage there between all of these members, and they're showing their bot lane in mid as they clear waves, and showing like that usually is a sign of, we're not doing the Baron, we're clearing the wave before we go to it. But by the time that Mammoth even consider, are they there, it's gone.
Beautifully orchestrated here by the Direwolves, as that gives them a nice little 9k gold advantage. And now that might be the buff they need to try and break through tough conditions like an inhibitor. You can see that Mammoth, given the fact that the Dragon is up in 40 seconds, have turned their attention to the bottom side, but that is the wombo combo you absolutely love to see. Solar Flare, 3-man into the Unstoppable Force. There is no outplay there, no flash, no chance to live.
That's just so simple from Direwolves right now. We're not seeing any fight coming out of Mammoth at the moment. Maybe they want to keep scaling and get those items, but I don't know if we'll even get to see that opportunity. Shock basically single-handedly is harassing his way through the jungle, looking for those picks. He has enough damage to do it himself as well. We spoke about the item spikes and he's there. But Mammoth can't team fight. They probably can't hold the 1v1s in lane. And how did we get to this position? Well, Direwolves just played calm and collected League of Legends, and Mammoth folded.
They definitely stated their authority on this game, really showcased this is what we want to do, and your ability to make anything happen is going to be a possibility. Now this is them trying to force some kind of effort. Liv dives the backline, spins to win, but falls on down for a very early grave. Now, is there enough wombo combo left? Is there enough sheer power? Well, that answer is very clear at this stage. Shock deletes one, and Graves follows for an easy double kill. Now, they find a situation where they can push straight through mid with only 2 members up and alive. Essentially a second bot duo, given it is an Aphelios and Karma. But that's all she wrote to get maximum value here, with Miru taking another dragon and then pushing for a mid and hip.
This is just an absolute spanking, Skippy. We're not seeing anything right now, but Direwolves just in absolute control. It continues. They'll push forwards. That was a Drake taken while they're taking the inhibitor, by the way. As efficient as you can possibly be. Shock's just been a pain in the bum, making sure that they stay all the way back. All that's left is to put a bow on it if you were Direwolves at this point.
And look how disciplined they are in denying any real form of comeback conditions that Mammoth can try to play towards. You know, how did that play entirely set up or start originally, right? Was the Baron transition into them trying to do a creative little phase check, knowing that the next dragon was going to spawn? Well, apparently if you clump up all together, it actually does favour what the Direwolves have drafted here.
And I think you have to give some credit to the Direwolves on how they've changed their strategy from week 1 to week 2, of course. And we mentioned this during the draft as well, but they've gone back to their team fight tanks.
Yeah.
More of the 5v5 and you can see the difference in their comfort levels. But they're also controlling Summoner's Rip nicely, as here we go again.
Full combo unleashed here by Decoy. And that's all she wrote, and that's all that is needed to give enough uptime for the carries to come on through. And Vital deletes him. No chance to survive. Now 10 kills to 1.
And we're also seeing the red side of Direwolves, which is the other thing that I was going to bring up as well. I think it goes without saying, but one of the biggest strengths that they'll always have is their ability to be on red side and last pick for one of their carry players. Chippy's, of course, in this case. He's going to get to look at the Malphite. They're going to get the opportunity to play this style of composition as a last option as well if they want, and that's the type of power that you expect from one of your top 3 teams. Have that last pick available and have your opponent say, well, what do we even do?
Tried something different in week 1, but they return back to the Direwolves that we do know and love. Aggressive nature, full control, a nice hook there onto Miru, but there's no follow-up, there's no chance to really make anything happen. They have to concede, they have to fall victim to a second inhibitor, as Liv is trying to find any form of value in that top side. Force Direwolves to push on back, but the Gold League continues to build.
So what do we have? We have 2 items completed for Liv. We have 3 items completed for Mboma, which, by the way, farming pretty well, and is the light in the horizon, perhaps,
for sure.
for Mammoth, if anything. I mean, they have a comp that we said this during the Champ Select as well. It was decently sculpted around him being strong, and it was also Liv that needed to be a decent threat. At least he has his items, is what I would say. So what can they do? Well, we'll see how this goes first.
Well, they are scouting for vision, and Chippies takes those. Push the attack, press the attack, everything is the attack. And
There's your answer.
1v2.
What can they do? Well, Chippies is a tank. He just stood there and almost killed Mboma by himself. They got the flash out of the Aphelios. What are 3 items going to do against a Malphite? Well, they're just going to tickle. Too far gone, I think is what you would say. That was maybe the litmus test, but can they even stand a chance in this game? Well, that tank that stands in front of the team for Direwolves is just too tank.
Yeah, he's literally a rock. Figuratively and literally in this one here, as they now look to work towards their final inhibitor. Top side is the one that is open. The turret is incredibly crippled as Mammoth are forced to stay locked inside their base, almost like a house arrest. Nowhere to go, nowhere to turn, no camps to clear. They are forced to answer these minion waves knocking at their front door.
Will connect.
Hook does connect. This might be the fight that they need. A last-ditch effort, and an effort that proves worthwhile in the end.
Though.
They do take down Shock, but that's all they can find. With everything going out for one key target, the amount of strength that Direwolves as a collective possess is enough to force revenge. And Respite is now, they close things out here. 30 minutes on the dot. Direwolves will find a victory to open up Friday. And Chippies dives the fountain, says, look boys, more kills for you. I'll fall on down. Take out Bass, please. Ped your KDAs, everyone's diving. Vital has a shield as big as his health bar itself. But that's well played. You might says it all. Direwolves getting the dub.
They may not be able to dive the fountain, Skibby, but they will get their first win of the second split of the OPL here, and that was a much more reinvigorated showing from them. That was much more like the Direwolves that we saw in the last split. It's good to see them back, but there is a couple of other things at play there as well, right? The Graves pick is proving to be too much, and we're not really seeing the Trundle, and I think that might be something to do with how well Graves has been going in their scrims this week or something in the lead up to the OPL. Graves has always been seen as like a counter to Trundle, because you can get around those pillars no problem, but the Graves are popping off.
There they are. Mirrorhound, a fantastic performance here, snowballing from start to finish. That's going to do it for game number 3. We have one final game left, and you do not want to miss this one. It's a big game. It is Order taking on Pentanet.gg.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe, and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got it! This is deadly! He's got it!
Welcome to the 2020 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson.
And that's a beautiful hemo play onto multiple members. He gets himself a double kill.
It's Raze doing what he does, the team fight king.
We love everybody. We love the OPL.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact free, we'll be here.